Everybody, it's Zach again at new2torah.com. I want to make a video tonight on silver. I just want to give a silver update. There's just so much going on right now in the market, and the market is just, it's amazing to me how manipulated the market is. And what's also amazing to me is how many people have no idea, nor do they care. I cannot believe this. I told you before in a past video that I'm doing a Wednesday night class. And this Wednesday night class is with my dad. We go to a Baptist church that I used to go to, actually the Baptist church that I grew up in. And they still go to that church. And so it's just kind of some time to spend with my dad on a Wednesday night. The class that we're going to is about the Constitution. And it talks about, in fact, I think I have a pocket Constitution somewhere in here. Oh, there it is. There's my Constitution, my pocket Constitution. And so I have one for the class as well. And we were talking about the Federal Reserve in the class. And so it's a 28-week series, this class that we've been taking. And so just a really, really interesting class. And most of these people who are in the class are completely asleep. They have absolutely no idea. And I've tried to say before, what I think is coming, that I believe that there really is no hope for this country anymore. And if you were on your game, you need to be getting to the point where you can provide for your family and the loved ones and the people around you that are going to be hurting. This country is going to collapse, no doubt about it. I'm not trying to be Mr. Doom and Gloom here. I'm trying to be just realistic. Being realistic, folks. This country is going to collapse. The economy is going to collapse. And instead of trying to figure out how we correct it, how do we get our politicians to start acting honorable, and being trustworthy, it's not going to happen. This country is going to fail, as all countries do. Eventually, we've just taken the road that's going to get us there a little bit faster than some. All empires rise and fall. We're not special. America's nothing special. Some people like to think we are, but we're not. Empires rise and fall all the time. And my personal opinion is that we are living in the last days before Jesus, Yeshua, does come back to this planet and set all things right. But at the same time, even if I'm wrong and the Messiah delays, we are going to be in for a whole world of hurt. Empires rise and fall. And that's just what is on the schedule for us here in America. And so what I suggested to them in the past in this class is say, hey, listen, guys, let's stop. While I think it's great to see where all we went wrong, and it's good to learn about the Constitution and how government is supposed to be run in a free society that has liberty at its forefront, let's instead start to concentrate on what we're going to do when this ball goes up. Okay, when the balloon goes up, what are we going to do? How are we going to provide for our loved ones and take care of them? And they don't like to hear that. They just don't like to hear that. They just think that they're just going to pray hard enough and long enough, and all of a sudden God's going to turn this thing around. And I'm telling you, God can't turn this thing around because we have gotten away from what His Bible, what His Torah calls is honest weights and measures for the economy purposes, but we don't understand what wickedness is anymore. The only way we can understand what wickedness is to turn back to His Torah and read what is righteous and what is wicked. And we don't do that here in America today. We have churches who say that the law, the Torah, is done away with. And so once you do away with the law, what the result is lawlessness. And so I don't want to preach tonight. What I want to talk about is this economy and silver. Silver update. How is the silver doing right now? Well, listen, in this class, the reason I brought up the class is that I turned to Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution, and I said, no state shall enter, or no state shall, it's the state's job to coin money, okay? No state shall coin any money but gold and silver, okay? They shall not make anything but gold and silver, coin and tender for payment and debts. Basically, the Constitution is saying nothing but gold and silver is to be used for payment. It's to be your legal tender in this country. And the U.S. Treasury's job is to make that coin, to make that tender. And they're supposed to use gold and silver when they do it. We have gotten way far away from that. And we even got to a point where it was like, okay, we're still going to use paper, but it's going to be backed by gold and silver. And we've even gotten away from that. And people don't realize, the history of that and the and Andrew Jackson and some of the history of some of these guys who fought the banks, but the banks have won. The banks are here. And we have built an entire economy built on what the Bible calls USury. It's fractional reserve banking, where you put in $100 and they loan out $900 and they charge interest, which is USury. It's the definition of USury, and the Bible says, God says that cannot stand. This economy will collapse because the Bible says, hey, what is honest weights and measures? Well, it's gold and silver. And our founders knew that in the Constitution, and they put that in there. They knew better, and we've gotten away from that. And because we've done that, we will go the way Rome did. They will fail. Rome eventually took all of the silver out of their coinage. What you see there is a Roman denarius next to a U.S. dime. And the Roman denarius in this picture is probably around 80 to 90% silver. Based on the year that it was minted. And over time, as time went on through the centuries, the first few centuries after Yeshua, Jesus, was here, they kept taking more and more silver out of their coinage until it was just basically pot metal. And so this right here is before they did that. And so they eventually did that, and the Roman Empire collapsed because they also built an economy on usury, on money that was not money, of what the Bible did not call honest weights and measures. And so an economy built on that will collapse. Ultimately, it will collapse. Guys, I talk to people all the time who just think you're crazy because you don't have a 401k, or you don't have, stocks or bonds, or you don't have your money in the bank on a savings account or an IRA or a mutual fund or all these things. And I'm just like, man, why? I try to keep as little money as possible in the bank. I try to keep it in other things that can be secured, either by my person, which is armed, or by someone else who's armed, and they're secured that way. I don't trust the banks. The banks will rob you blind, and they'll do it without a gun. So what I'm telling you to do is don't trust these people. Get in a position where you can leverage yourself and not try to do this, buy gold or silver as an investment, but do it as a way to preserve yourself. That's what you should be doing right now. The market is a complete fraud at this point. And you look at the market, and I was listening to who was it? Andy Hoffman from, I think, Franklin, was it Miles Franklin? And so Andy Hoffman from Miles Franklin said basically he calls it the Dow Jones propaganda average, I think is what he called it. And it's exactly right, because it's a propaganda machine. You're watching the Dow every day and say, look, wow, we're above 13,000. Isn't the market great? The economy's picking up. Guys, it's a farce to get people to believe that everything's okay, and to keep them from waking up and seeing what's really happening, that the wealth of America is just being ripped apart from us right before our very eyes through inflation. And I don't know how anyone else to put it, but don't believe the Dow. The Dow, what this guy, Andy Hoffman, was saying is that, the volume of trading right now on the market is at an all-time low. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody's even mentioning it. Hardly anybody's mentioning it. The volume, nobody's really trading anymore, okay, except unless you're trading Apple stocks, okay, or maybe Facebook coming up. But it doesn't matter. All the other stocks are dead. The market volume is so low right now. It's like a 50-week low out of 60. 50 of the weeks have all been, record lows of trading volume. That's because nobody's doing it anymore. People, like regular people like you and me, are not doing it anymore. We've gotten out of that game. The only trading that's going on right now in the market is by computers, which is basically the government being run by the banksters. It's a fraud. The market, the economy is a fraud. Get out of paper. Get out of your 401ks. Get out of all that stuff. Yeah, you're going to take a hit on your 401k if you pull out. So what? Put it in metals. You'll make it back up. I just don't see why anyone would want to stay in the market right now when it's manipulated. It's so manipulated. The Wall Street Journal even the other day was like, hey, they're even starting to pick up on it. They're like, hey, what's up with all the gold, drops all of a sudden lately? Who's putting this much paper, gold on the market? It's not real gold. It's just paper ETFs that have been dropped on the market on the trading commodity floor. And it's just like, where are all these trades coming from that's being sold? It's not real gold that's being sold. It's just paper. And the Wall Street Journal is going, where is this coming from? Hello, who's making this price drop the way it is? Because if it was left alone, gold would be through the roof. Silver right now would be through the roof. There is manipulation going on in this country. Guys, this is a Roman denarius, and I've done a video on this before. back at the turn of the century, at the 1900s, okay, you were paid 1 silver dime for your day's wage. 1 silver dime. Okay? That was a day's wage. In the Bible, in Matthew, I believe, Matthew chapter 20, I'm assuming. I can't remember the chapter now. Matthew chapter 20, I think. It talks about the people being put in the field, basically a 12-hour workday in the field, in the vineyard, and being paid a day's wage of 1 denarius. That's this right here. That's 1 denarius. It's the same size as a U.S. silver dime, 1964 dime. So a day's wage at the turn of the century, 100 years ago, was this. A day's wage 2,000 years ago was this. It's the same size. It's the same amount of silver almost. That's a day's wage. Folks, what are you getting paid for a day's wage today? Are you getting paid a dime? Now, I can go buy one of these dimes. For a 1964 dime would cost me about $2.50, maybe $2. Okay, right now. Price of silver has dropped a little bit today, or last week. So, $2, $2.50, you got yourself a dime. Now, does that pay a day's wage? Can you feed your family and pay your taxes and your rent and your mortgage and your car payment on a dime a day? No, but you used to. You used to be able to do that. But we've gotten away from what's called honest weights and measures, and we've built an economy on USury. And so, eventually, things are going to turn around in the opposite direction that they've been going. They're going to go back to the right direction. There's going to be a correction, and you're going to see again back to the days of 1900s where a day's wage cost a dime, and 2,000 years ago when a day's wage cost a silver denarius. Almost the same amount of silver, same size. If you could just... There'll be a time when you look back on today's day, and you'll be saying, "Man, there was a time where I could have got an ounce of silver for $30. Oh man, why didn't I take advantage of that?" Go buy some silver. Now, I'm very comfortable with the amount of silver that I'm holding right now. I've gotten to the level that I want to get to. I have other things that I'm saving for right now. I want to build a house. I want to build a house and move somewhere and raise my family away from everybody out in the middle of nowhere. And we're going to do that. We're going to do that probably very soon, probably within the next year. We're going to be moving and buying a house somewhere. And basically, we're going to bug out. And so I'm putting all my money right now into that endeavor. We're getting ready to hopefully start building soon. And so... I've got the silver I want. I'm not, it's just I've reached the level that I'm comfortable with, But get some silver. You do not want to be left, with the paper money when the system goes down. You do not want to be left. You don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Every once in a while, I'll go pick up some new silver. I'm pretty much done buying for right now. I would, if it really goes down a lot, like down the $10 level or whatever, I may go out and buy more. But I'm pretty happy. I started buying silver in 2004. I don't have a lot. I've got a little, and compared to some people on YouTube, but I've got a little bit. And I started buying it in little amounts back in 2004. When it was about $9, I think, or $5, whatever it was. It was really cheap. And I've done pretty well. And I got out of my 401k. I went out and bought a used car. I took a hit on that, put some of that money towards a little more silver. But I think it's going to pay off in the end. And it's not an investment that I believe this is going to pay off as. I believe it's going to pay off as a preservation of my family's wealth. And that it's going to be beneficial to me and my children and my wife in the end. So... last purchase I bought some kookaburras, Australian. Check these out. These are nice. Just to give you a little bit of update of what I've been doing on the silver side. I love these kookaburras. They're so pretty. It's a 2012 1 ounce 999 fine silver. I love that. That's just so gorgeous. And it's funny because everybody thinks these are like the pneumatic coins. They don't buy these things because they usually have a premium. Well, the dealer that I have in town that I buy from, he was selling these for the same price as Eagles, only about $2 over spot. And so I'm like, these are only $2 over spot, and I mean the Eagles were only about $2. I'm like, I'll take. I think I bought 15 of them, so it's like, I'll take them. Give me some. So right there, I love these things. They're just gorgeous. Yeah. Anyway. that's my update. And like I said, I'm basically done buying silver. I'm at the point where I'm comfortable buying the little amount that I have. I'm not a rich guy. I have a little, and I'm happy with it. And I'm happy and confident that both me and my wife are well armed, and we know how to defend what we have, and we're training our children also to have that mentality, to know what is honest weights and measures and what is not. So I mean, that's what more can you ask for? The Father's blessed us, with what we have, and I have a good job, and I have a good education, and I've got a great family. And so I believe that's because I've tried to do my best to follow in the Father's footsteps and His guidance and obey His guidance. I've heard and obey, and that's what what it's all about. Hear Him and obey Him. I don't know what else to really talk about. There was an article that came out today. I saw too that a record number of people are pulling their money out of the banks and they're putting it in home safes, keeping cash in the home, and that's cool too. I think if you do that, I mean, have a good safe, be armed and know how to defend yourselves, because it's going to get rough. People are eventually there's going to be a run on the banks, and eventually your money is going to be worthless. It's just the way it's going to be. So you need to learn how to defend yourself, learn how to defend what you have a plan, and go with it. So I don't know what's going to happen. I know that it's going to get rough. And for those of you who have ignored these messages and who have seen these videos and who have heard other people talk about this stuff and who are just like, oh, this is never going to happen, you guys are a bunch of conspiracy nuts, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt real bad. So, all right, that's it. That's my silver update. We'll talk about it again. It's always fun to watch the markets and watch the manipulation that's going on. And, maybe I don't play the lottery, but if I ever won the lottery, I think I know what I'd do. I'd buy more silver. All right, that's it. Go home, read your Bible. Thanks.